Welcome to the Media Mavens Show, a fantastic fusion of health, wealth, and wisdom that will ignite your passion for life. I'm Aldwyn Altuney, also known as the Media Queen from Australia.
And I'm Kerstin Linnartz from Germany. We are here to take you on a journey of inspiration to help you grow in life and business and unlock your true potential.
With a combined 70 years of media experience, we share stories, insights, and expert advice that will empower you in all areas of your life.
The Media Mavens Show is not just another show. It's a candid look for answers to the big questions in life and a movement towards a better, brighter future.
This show transcends borders. We're connecting people and cultures globally.
So whether you're watching us online or listening to our podcast, buckle up to be inspired, informed, and ready to conquer the world.
Oh, yes.
Welcome.
Welcome to Media Mavens Show, episode 7. We're talking about rapid transformation secrets. And Kerstin, all the way from Dubai. How is it over there?
Oh my God, we're more international than ever. The lady from Germany hopping in live from Dubai. It's hot, it's beautiful. I've got the amazing harbor right below me. I'm on the 26th floor of an amazing hotel, and I'm so happy to be hosting and with you and welcoming our guest, Angelique Pellegrino. Very warm welcome.
Yes, Angelique's amazing. We've known each other for a few years, actually. She's one of our beautiful Mass Media Mastery members, and she's in a few compilation books and very accomplished. So a little bit about Angelique before we chat about rapid transformation secrets today. She is an author. She's a transformational life coach and therapist and founder of Refresh Your Mind. She empowers people by helping them shift from a place of pain to one of pleasure by removing entrenched blockages from their subconscious and teaching them how to harness their mind to fulfill all their wants. She's been dubbed the Angelic Transformer. She overcame numerous massive challenges to transform her own life. And nowadays she practices rapid transformational therapy, otherwise known as RTT, which encompasses several healing modalities based on neuroscience that delivers fast and effective results. RTD combines the most beneficial principles of hypnosis, psychotherapy, timeline therapy, neurolinguistics programming, NLP, cognitive behavioral therapy, otherwise known as CBT, and behavior change to rapidly rewire the brain's neural pathways. Negative beliefs, thoughts, and patterns of behavior are permanently replaced with positive and empowering ones. That's the kind of stuff we like. Welcome, Angelique.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be able to share my little secrets. And so they're no longer secrets and everybody can
Which everyone should know, no? I believe what you share should be taught to young children at school. I've got my 8-year-old daughter here with me on holiday, and she's getting all that stuff from me, and everybody says what an exceptional child she is. I think every child should learn those things. But Angelique, before we get into that, tell us, that's something we like to know from all of our guests. Why do you do what you do? And you've been doing this for such a long time. And we don't talk about years, we talk about decades. Tell us a little bit how you got into all of that magic.
Well, I guess life and all the little, what do you call them? The curly balls that they get thrown at you. I was just looking for something that really worked. So when I share part of my stories, you will understand why shortly. And that's the main reason, because I found that, so when I was 15 years old, and a teacher said at school that we only use about 15% of our brain, which today they now know it's only about 5%. My first thought was like, what the hell are we doing, Obviously, the answers are in the 85%. So it was my life's quest to basically dig deep into that, travel the world extensively, 3 years before I settled in Australia, actually. And I started on the spiritual side, where I learned I was attuned to Reiki, that's what it's called. But I found this, even though it's very powerful, because when your hands when you've been attuned to Reiki, just so for people who don't know, your hands are like 1,000 times more powerful than an ordinary person. And also what happens when you start to work on a person, you've got a whole celestial group of angels working with you, so you're not on your own. However, I still found the process was fairly slow, peeling, like an onion, all the little layers. Then I also studied psychology and did counseling, but I found this fairly frustrating because people just keep coming back and they're just regurgitating the past. I'm sorry. And it just keeps them in the past, because they keep dwelling on it, and they're trying to look, once again, they're trying to look at a solution from the 5% of our brain that we use, instead of using their whole being to kind of feel, where the solutions are. And then I got a bit sidetracked with this. So then I also found it frustrating, because then you had to constantly, tell your peers, make reports of everything, and I just found that I was educating them for nothing. So I thought it was time to move on. And then, kept searching for new solutions, looked at all the different religions, and then I stumbled across Marisa Peer's, and I learned her technique, which she had been doing for over 30 years. So it's a proven technique, as Aldwyn well explained before. He, embraces several healing modalities. That's why it's so powerful. And hypnosis part is only about 20% of the process. We use hypnosis to help the person discover what the real root cause of an issue is. And then once they discover that they created all this chaos in their life, they go, hang on a minute, if I created this, I can uncreate it and I can do better. And that's why the whole process is so phenomenal and, very, very, very effective.
Absolutely. Let me jump in there just real quick, because I want to share with our viewers. We've got the dragon here online on Instagram. Hi, the dragon. It's the year of the dragon. I mean, we've been into the spiritual realm a lot, into the healing realm a lot. I totally tune into every word you say. But I know when some people who might be not so experienced, when they hear the word hypnosis, they think of something like David Copperfield hypnoting somebody on the stage so they can throw them around. Share how you actually create those rapid transformations. If somebody is struggling with something, if they are facing obstacles in their life, let's get really practical right away. How does hypnosis work on the subconscious of a person?
So the best way to answer your question is to give you a couple examples of stories, because that's the best way. So for instance, this one man, he was having trouble with drums, couldn't stand the sound of drums. It was giving him such heart palpitation. There was anxiety to the max, felt like he was having a heart attack, and he just kept away from drums and music altogether, until, of course, the universe gave him a girlfriend who was a musician. And she wanted him to go listen to her, obviously. So he heard about RTT and decided to take a session. So the process goes, first of all, they do fill in an intake form, which they can tick all the things that bothers them. And so that first 20 minutes, we discuss what the number one thing is. And I think one of the reasons RTT is so powerful and what's the word I'm looking for, effective, is because we tend to focus on the one thing, and then usually a couple other things fall within anyway. So for this man, we then put him under hypnosis, which is really, it's not very old school, long way, walking along the beach, etc. He's really just going down some stairs, which is really taking them deep, deep, deep inside themselves. There's nothing to worry about. It's a deep relaxation. You're basically getting out of your head and into your body. That's the best way I think I can describe it. And once they're down there, you sort of ask, okay, So then we ask specific question for this person, you know, what do you think is the root cause of this massive anxiety you have when you listen to drums? And he goes, and then this can happen, by the way, you know, usually pictures pop up in their mind fairly quickly, but in this case, he couldn't see anything. So he goes, oh, it's black, it's dark, I can't see anything. And that can happen. So just so you know, if that was to happen, I've had another client who had a situation like this. I just roll with it because of my life experience, and all my intuition comes into place, and I will go with whatever I feel is right. But in his case, he goes, after a few seconds, because you got to give them time, you know, sometimes it takes a bit of time to pop up in their mind. So then he goes, oh, wait a minute. I'm in my mother's womb. She's 7 months pregnant with me. And she's hiding in the cupboard under blankets and pillows because there's some men coming into the house with machete guns and killing everybody in sight. We had to flee from this country and never went back again. So that was his mother's heartbeat, you see. So when he realized that, you know, came out of, you know, obviously there's a few other processes that go along. And again, I can't kind of divulge everything. And it's also going to vary with each client. There's different techniques I'm going to use depending on the situation. But at the end of the process, you know, we then create a recording for them, which is going to put them under hypnosis. So when they listen to it, they go deep so that it works on a deep level. And they listen to this for at least 21 days, which is how they're going to rewire their neural pathways. And off they go and have a normal life. Yay!
And I think this is so intense, no? You really get to tune into subconsciously stored memories that if you would just go there from your left brain, it would take forever to remember that while your mother was pregnant, such a traumatic event happened, if you would even find out. This is what I've experienced as well, you know, in myself and with clients. But when you then reverse engineer it and you research back, you find out those things. And of course, it's stored in the cells, because as we know, even before getting born, the child's conscious mind starts to develop and stores all of that, right, on a deep cellular level. It's amazing, that story. Wow.
It's a good example. And you know, this just goes to show really hypnosis, you know, you don't tell your client to go buy your Mercedes, you know, you don't need one. you know, people fear that you're going to make them do things they don't want you to do, but that's not going to happen. You know, we're there to help them. It's a tool they can then learn to use themselves, you know, and this is actually one of the things that I will share a little bit later in our conversation today, but we'll go back to the questions. What else?
Very different to stage comedy hypnosis, right? That's what a lot of people relate to, is that the comedy on stage where people take their clothes off and, you know, look like they're bonking each other and all that kind of stuff, right? We don't do any of that, right? And I've actually had a session with Angelique, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love the way you do your sessions, Angelique. I know they're very, very powerful. And this is where, when it's done correctly, you can get this rapid transformation. You know, when people are willing, obviously when they're open to wanting change as well, I think there's got to be an element of, they've got to consciously want it too, right, Angelique?
Absolutely. I don't do the work. I'm only the facilitator. And I always make sure when they make a booking, are you all in? Because if you're not all in, don't even come and see me, because it's a waste of money, you know, and time and energy. You must be all in. You must be to the point where you've drawn that line on the sand and said, that's it. I am not doing this anymore. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Yeah.
Interesting point that you're giving here. So how do you proceed with clients? You know, I always call them the very left-brained, rational business people who might have a shred of doubt or sit on the fence. They're interested, but they still have this question mark, does this really work? Do you tell them, don't even come here until you 100% are all in and believe in it? Or how do you help somebody who might have a shred of doubt in their mind?
Well, first of all, it's really, really hard to give one answer for everybody, because it's definitely going to be depending on the individual, and you know, where that's, you know, you have to weigh out how badly do they really want this. But I find that, if they make a booking and they're coming to see me, they've already made that decision that they want to change, and if they don't let go completely when they're here to do the session or, online, it's okay, because they're still going to get a big transformation from it. And they will, the very important part is to listen to that recording. And even if they forget one night, get on the bike again and keep listening to it. You can pick it up 6 months later and listen to it again. I mean, it's a very good tool to have. And at the end of the day, it's only bringing them back to who they are, in essence, pure and perfect, before they got damaged with all the crap. Yeah. And yeah.
So I think that you put this in a nice way, no? Getting damaged by all the crap, because at the end of the day, when a baby gets born, they're so pure, they're so connected to the source. You know what? I heard an amazing thing. This place of little babies where the 3 parts of the skull is not grown together yet when they come out, the fontanella, and where you actually see the brain pulsating. It's a bit awkward when you have this fresh born baby and you see their brain pulsating on top of the head. You're not allowed to touch that. It's so sensitive. And when you look from the spiritual point of view, this is where the 7th chakra enters, right? And I heard an amazing explanation of that once. So when we're born, we come from where we're all going to go back to, right? To the source. And a small young baby who has not been damaged by any crap yet is still completely open. And their 7th chakra is still open. And as soon as this fontanella starts to grow close, their brain, their conscious mind has already been started to be fed with all the outer influences and all of that. And us as coaches and all the work that we later on might have to do, depending on how much crap has been damaging us, is all aiming at bringing us back there where we're, even with a closed fontanella, open up this 7th chakra, or the funnel to the source, or however you want to call it, right? And I think this is what the type of healing work that you're providing as well is aiming towards. Would you agree on that?
Yes. And well, since we most likely have parents listening to us today, I would like to say, right from the beginning, when you have this baby in your arm, remember this baby is pure and perfect. It's just arrived on the other side. It actually knows more than you. So don't stifle it. Don't stifle it. Keep telling that child that she's pure and perfect and beautiful, intelligent, smart. Don't lose any of this. In fact, well, I just have a granddaughter that's 2.5 years old, and I've been practicing on her, and it's extraordinary, because she is insanely smart, and it's only because of the parents treating her like that, and me as well. And I actually, sorry, for those who don't believe in past life, I just need to share this. I had some perfect evidence for you that we have had hundreds and hundreds of past life, because my little granddaughter, the plane goes over us, in the pool area, we have to hide.
How is that?
Hide and close our eyes. Do you understand?
Wow.
Do you understand why?
She's been in wars before, right?
Correct. So it's extraordinary, isn't it? And another time, when my daughter bought her some little what do you call them, bobbins that you can thread, and the thread is quite thick. It's like a cord, because it was done for she was only about 18 months old. You're not going to believe what she did. She took the thread, put it in her mouth before putting it in. I was gobsmacked. She's been sewing before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, wow. This little thing, that's what I mean. They're pure and perfect. You're absolutely right. So this brings me to another story that is actually for the ones who, might think, oh, I've had a good upbringing. I'm fine. I don't have any problems. Well, okay. There's actually 2 stories that come to mind, but I'm going to start with this first one, where this child, I don't remember, he was 4 or 5 years old, and No, actually, first of all, he was a man. He had this fear of birds, right? He was absolutely unbelievable fear of birds. Could not go to a cafe just in case a bird was going to fly on his table. Could not live in an apartment with a balcony just in case a bird was going to come on his balcony. It was ridiculous, right? So he did this RTT session, and under hypnosis, when he was about 4 or 5 years old, his parents went to some friends' family home or for Christmas. You know, they had a big, luscious house and everything, and they had this big bird in the cage. Reminds me, Aldwyn, what do you call those big birds in English? The big birds that you can take on your hands and they talk to you.
The eagle, the cockatoo? No, cockatoo.
Cockatoo, you know. So the grown-ups took the birds out of the cage, you know, and put it on his shoulder, and he was having the jolliest good time. He thought it was fantastic. He thought it was the most incredible experience. Anyway, the next morning, all the adults are still asleep because they probably drank too much, and the little boy decides to get up and go have a look at the bird. So very gently, he opens up the cage, takes the bird on his hand, puts it on his shoulder, and he's having the jolliest good time until a grown-up comes out and goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And the bird got caught up in his jumper, scratched his face, boom, 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 and boom, that created a scratch in his mind. So Nia had a second similar experience. That's it. That's it. How crazy is that?
Yes.
So, and as parents, we always well-meaning, but sometimes we're a little bit too bossy and dictatorship and like, don't ever call your children bad names, you know, ever, ever, ever. Oh, you little rascal, no, you little angel, what have you done now, you know, because it creates an imprint. Those imprints get so deeply buried in you. And, you know, Kerstin, like you mentioned before, sometimes it's so deeply buried that you don't even remember that it happened.
Yeah, and this is how all these negative or hindering or self-sabotaging thoughts, belief patterns, habits get created, right? And as you say, they're stored so far below in the subconscious mind that very often we don't remember them. And depending on how traumatic they were, speaking of violence, speaking of dangerous situations, speaking of remembering war, maybe from past lives, whatever it is, sometimes the conscious mind protects our sane being by storing it so deep down below. It gets locked in a box, so we don't consciously remember it, but it's still affecting our choices in today. And that's why this rapid transformation can be so rapid, because once you have connected the dot and your conscious mind understands, oh my God, I hate birds because I've been attacked by a freaking bird when I was 4 years old. I might not even remember that incident because it felt so dangerous that my mind put it away. So I forget about it, but I still freak out and then it clicks. I've seen this so often with clients with the stupidest things, but it has been affecting them. And once it clicks, it's like, oh my God, this is what's been pissing me off for 30 years. And I just let it go in an instant. And there you have the rapid transformation. And this is why it actually works, right?
Yeah. So, you know, I'm especially, I wouldn't say experienced, but what's the word I would be looking for here? Keen on helping the people that have been traumatized, you know? And that's, okay, so there, I should tell you a little bit of my story, you know? So, you know, my mother came from a family of 16 children. Whoa. So you can understand in Europe, you know, no television. Anyway, so they were like, I was a Swiss Heidi, you know, I was very naive, very, very naive. And everybody, my whole life, always took advantage of me. And you know, karma is beautiful because I have a really juicy story around that. If we had time to talk about it, we'll see. But anyway, cut the long story short, traveled 3 years around the world, went out with this so-called, actually, I'm going to quickly mention it, you know. I went out with this so-called socialite for 5 years. I mean, the only reason he was a socialite is because his sister had been really famous in a sitcom in Australia. But anyway, after 5 years, I was sort of saying, where's my ring, So he decided to go to Europe and do a trip over there before he settled down. So he went and stayed at my family's hotel for months. They gave him everything because they thought he was a future son-in-law. Anyway, comes back to Australia. He still can't decide. Anyway, in the meantime, his sister, to get herself, give herself a bit of, class, called her daughter Marquesa. And when I asked him, are we going to get married or what? He said that I had no class for asking him. That was his answer. Anyway, I thought, you know what? I'm obviously not meant to be married and have children. No big deal. I'm going back to Switzerland where I can earn some decent money. And I was a week away before I met my husband. And he was Italian. He was the extreme opposite to me and to that other person. And anyway, 3 months into my marriage, my husband says, oh, by the way, we have a title. I said, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, my great-grandfather was a Marquis of Palermo, Sicily. So you see, Kerstin, I'm a Marquesa. So now you know what? Karma's beautiful, isn't it?
This is where your beautiful name Pellegrino comes from.
I know. So no, but that was just like a little story about karma, and this is why people have to not get bogged down, because anger is such a bad thing. Like there was a lady, she couldn't wear a dress for about 30 years because she had such a bad skin issue. Anyway, she did an RTT session, and they finally found out that she was holding on to so much anger towards a builder who had done them wrong. They were doing wanted to do some renovations, but he took the money and ran. So when she started to let go, her skin cleared. And I mean, you've got to understand the medical system was doing all sorts of things for him. Like, they couldn't find any solution, and boom, it all cleared after doing an RTT session, and she got to wear a dress again. It's amazing how anger, it can hold people back so much. Would you agree, Kerstin?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It is one of the most powerful forms of self-sabotage, I would say, because as long as you're holding anger against somebody, we've had this on one of the other show, Aldwyn, remember, we were saying the moment you forgive another person, you're actually freeing yourself from the weight that this anger or this grudge has been putting on your own shoulders. Because at the end of the day, you're attacking your own selves on the cellular level. When you're angry, it's reducing your immune system. This is scientifically proven. It holds the grudge. It reduces your energy level. You're swinging on the much lower frequency, and releasing that anger will not only detach you from that negative state, but it will also give you, back a lot of energy and allow you to swing on that higher frequency. It's not easy though, when you've been hurt. And I think this, when people can't get there themselves, that's what I always encourage people to get help to release that anger, because sometimes anger can be intense, and depending on what has been done to you, people are being pushed into this victim state. Why has this happened to me? Why has this husband been violent? Why has my parents, whatever it is. So what is your take on supporting somebody to let go of anger as such a intense negative force?
Well, firstly, all illnesses are psychosomatic, which means all these negative vibrations are going to have an effect in the body, like you so well explained just then, Kerstin. And that is why, again, going back to reflecting on my own life experience, 7 years into my marriage, I wondered what was wrong with my husband, because he always had so much bad luck. It was unbelievable. I mean, I won't even get into it. But that's when he opened up, and he told me that he had been raped by an uncle when he was 11 years old. And he never got over it. And so I know about anger. And, he actually totally forgave his uncle, which was huge. But then there was another situation within the family that just brought that anger back and literally lit a fire in his body. And boom, you know, he was gone in no time.
Yes.
But this anger is so poisonous. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like coca.
The opposite is forgiveness, no? And you know what's so amazing? I mean, and I know this from my own experience as well. The whole thing, family trauma, rape, all of that. When I was younger, I was so ill. Like, I got told I'm terminally ill pretty much in my 20s, right? And only after forgiving on a deep cellular level and letting go of the anger, now I'm one of the healthiest people I know. I'm fitter now at 47 than I was in my 20s, right? No more self-sabotaging habits and all of that. Healthy daughter. I got told you will never have a child. So I know it works and it's absolutely true. And again, so often it comes back to the childhood experiences, no, that we have, but also cleaning up on the bottom. And I like what you said before we went live. I would like to address that, because this is something I think, I don't want to say it's dangerous, but we see it nowadays, talking of positive affirmations. So often when we look at social media nowadays, I like a positive quote now and there, you know, and I like some positive inspiration. I share that as well. But how is your take on putting positive affirmations, you know, on top of something, and why will it not be sustainable, and how can it not work if you only work with positive affirmation?
Well, you cannot add to a full cup any water, can you? It's already full. It's full of crap. You have to empty the cup before you can add some good stuff. And so that's the first thing. But so affirmations, first of all, you know, I've been doing them for God at least 30 years with no results. You know, I mean, you know, but again, in saying that, you know, being married to someone who was raped, there was a lot of side effects, you know, that were extremely, extremely challenging. And so this is probably one of the messages that I want to bring across here for the, you know, to transform your life, is to learn to realize that it's actually not your journey. It's not yours. It's not, you shouldn't be attached to their problem. Yes, you are there to help them. You are their partner. You chose to be married, you know. So what I do, and I usually always say to people, just stop. You know, let's just say something really chaotic happened. Let's just say your husband went to the bank, cleaned your bank account, and gambled the whole lot, you know, which is some of the stuff that my husband used to do, you know, on top of everything else. By the way, he used to be a gigolo for 10 years before he knew me. He used to provide a service to all the rich women in Sydney for 10 years, and all he wanted was a normal family, which is what I gave him. So, you know, this is why I said to you, we need to have another session where we can talk about that in details, because I've learned a lot. And so the first thing you do is, let's just say, you know, a big disaster happened. It's just, okay, you're going to have the shock. Once you get over the shock, you just go sit in your favorite chair, in your meditation chair. You just stop, you know, no noise, no distractions, and you take your deep breath to reconnect with your inner self. Use anything that will take you into a deep hypnosis, which is to connect with yourself, and then look at the big picture. Rise above it, and just remember that we are like a speck, like a tiny little droplet in the ocean on this planet. We're like a little ant. What are we worried about? Who's wearing jeans, or who's wearing Chanel, or who's wearing Armani? You know, who cares? Who's betrayed who? Who cares, right? It's just so nothing. It's just going to pass in no time at all. So when you look at the big picture, that just really helps you separate yourself from that issue, because it's, I know we are all one and we're all interconnected, but it's better to work on yourself to lift others, because if you just get dragged down to their level, no one's going to win on that one. And then, hang on, I kind of made a note on that one, just to remember. Yeah. So then, obviously, you can make some decisions. You can either stay or go. And you have to really evaluate and look at the repercussions. Like there was a woman in Brisbane, I can't remember her name exactly right now, but she left her husband. Obviously, he was a narcissist. And, we can't judge, for a woman to leave her husband, there must have a lot going on before she leaves him, so no judging. However, she went to pick up her children from school one day, and when they got in the car, the whole car lit up in fire and they all died. And it was the husband that did that because, if he couldn't have them, nobody else will. So that kind of how things happen. And you've got to really, really think of every decision you make. You think of the repercussions. People don't do that, nowadays. I found that they're just too, again, in their head. They just think of the logical thing to do, what they've been taught, but at the end of the day, that reality doesn't exist. It's just something they chose to make their own reality because of what they were taught. But if they really reflect on that, there's no reality. It is only what you choose to make it. So let's just say, in my case, I chose to stay. And the reason was also because I knew that if I left him, I would simply get attracted to the same issue again, because that was my choice. That was my cross. That was what I chose to do when I came before this planet. That's the other thing. When we first come onto this planet, we all get handed like a Visa card, like a DNA, and we choose everything. We want to have parents that are doctors because we want to become a doctor, or we want to live in a country where, they're very poor. So we have this kind of challenge so that we can rise, because all our challenges are designed to lift everybody. As we rise, we lift everybody, and as you know, we're moving from the third to the fourth to the fifth dimension, etc. And that's what we're doing together, So, yeah. And so, just one more on this. So then, let's just say you choose. You realize that you have some baggages. You realize that you create this, so you need to keep emptying your bag. You keep all your cup so that you can fill it with better things. And you've got two ways of doing that. You can either do it by lying to yourself and doing affirmation. My husband is 100% perfect. My husband, okay, there's good thing to see him perfect, but he might be perfect with his imperfections. Or, I'm a billionaire, and, I'm still not a billionaire. 50 years later, boom, I'm still not a billionaire. But, I'm very rich. I have so many clothes in my cupboard, and nice clothes. I got accessories. I got everything in the kitchen I could possibly wish for. I've got everything I could possibly wish for. My biggest richness is my children and my grandchildren, because we're so connected and we adore each other. Sorry. But, so then, if you don't have this gift and you find that you're struggling because doing it your way by trying to reinvent yourself and try to do it the way you were taught with your mind, it's probably never going to work. I mean, you can try, but it'll take you your whole life. And this is why, people like us come into play. We are here with the experts. We are the facilitator. We can make this happen faster. We can make it happen so much faster. Hey, you want fast or slow? I mean, because then once you've done the clearing and you've done a really good clearing, part of the recording is the affirmations that you want to put in there anyway. Hey, I love my life. Everything I need comes to me easily and effortlessly. Things fall into place. I'm always guided to be at the right place at the right time. And it happens. It's staggering because you've done all the emptying of the rubbish first. Voila. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I love how you keep mentioning a few words, like you've said often, we make a choice, right? We make choices in life, and this is what puts the direction in our life. I like how you say we get given XYZ by the universe. The universe has placed this person into our life to learn, to evolve. So I love that. And from people like us, I can speak for you, for Aldwyn, for myself, who have been on this journey for decades, right? Those things are natural. Those things are normal. But what is your advice or piece of help for our listeners who might not be there yet, who might still think, and when I say victim mentality, there's no shame or blame in there. This is, it's a normal, natural thought. Why is this always happening to me? Or people who have not understood or fully grasped yet that we always make a conscious choice. What is your piece of advice for them to get to that point, that it becomes natural, that every obstacle is a chance to learn, that we get given difficult situations to evolve? How does somebody transform to that mindset?
Well, there's a lot of bits and pieces in here. We are evolving now and it's changing, but when we chose to come on this planet and got a little card with our DNA, we might have said, hey, bring it on. Give me all these, ancestral karmic debt. I will clear it for them, etc. I can see Aldwyn doing that. I'm sure she's done it because she's definitely had some business happening in her life. I'm sure with what you just said, Kerstin, as well. So there's that. So you've got to have patience because you don't know where the tipping point is, but you've got to know there is a tipping point. You're just going to persevere and persevere and persevere and keep working at it. There is a tipping point. And the good news is, because we are now in such a new place as a planet, we've shifted. We're constantly shifting into the fourth and fifth dimension now every day. I mean, I wake up in the fifth dimension every day. Mind you, I have a car accident and I drop back down to 3. But that happens, because I'm human. But because of that, it happens a lot quicker. So if people are still hesitating out there, want to give up, don't give up. I mean, well, why would you give up? It's silly, life is good. And then, yeah.
And also don't give in. No, it's not even only about giving up. It's also about giving in and be content with the mediocre. This is something, of course, when we hear things like you can have it all. Yes. And you got to do shitloads of work sometimes, depending on what you got given by the universe. But if you're ready, as you said, if you're ready to go all in, you can have it all. And there might be pushbacks, and you can have it all. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's always worth it.
100%. Well said. I agree totally. Never, yeah.
And there's always people worse off than us, right? There's always people worse off than us. We often, particularly in first world countries, we tend to take so much for granted. Basic things like food, shelter, water, right? And, spare a thought for those who don't have enough food. There's about 1 in 10 people across the world that don't have enough food to eat. About 50% of the population, apparently they have some kind of want for basic essentials like food, clothing, housing. Just by having these basic essential things, you're already, so blessed. And having a fully functioning body, you are fully blessed as well. And often, this rapid transformation therapy is so powerful because we're so close to our stuff often that we don't see what our blockages may be. And this is where it's so important to work with a mentor, work with a coach, work with someone like Angelique who does rapid transformation therapy, work with someone who's an expert in this field who can easily help you see what the blockage may be. And then once that's connected, as Kerstin mentioned, once that's connected and once you're committed to actually having a breakthrough in that area, you do the work, you will get the results. And, it's so powerful. Everything is there at our fingertips, right? We have everything available to us.
In saying that, ladies, what I would recommend for people is to perhaps consider doing a rapid transformational therapy every 3 months for us, or or maybe after a while every 6 months, because you're still going to have all these influences from people around you that can drag you down a little bit again. And, going back to mediocrity because you think you have to be a people pleaser or you have to fit in. And it's been so deeply embedded in you that it accidentally sneaks in again because your mind was really taught when you were little that this was the right and wrong thing, and it just wants to keep protecting you and keep doing it for you because it thinks it has to do that. But yeah, so you could do one. You could do one to clear, for instance, your relationship issue, and then the 3 months later you want to create your abundance issues. Then another time maybe just working. Like I had a lady who was a doctor. She was a lecturer. She was from Brazil and was coming to the university here in Brisbane to lecture. And she was super, super, super nervous and like extremely nervous because she was cool to do lectures in her country because it was to students and it was in her native language. Where here, it was to experts and in the language, in English, basically. So it wasn't as easy. So on top of that, she was getting heavy migraines. And then when she was on my chair to have the session, she tells me that her father was a neurosurgeon. And I was going, uh-oh. Anyway, so, she's no longer has had any more migraines and only had one session. And that just came, she recognized the fact that it came from her father pushing her so hard to become a doctor that she became hard on herself and pushed herself so much. And that's the other thing, Kerstin, you've got to have, I found that I am also a little bit anti-pushing, a lot into allowing, and you've got to find this balance, it doesn't mean that you don't take action, it just means that you've got to stop pushing so hard and forcing people and manipulating people, because, oh my God, people just play games and they do things behind your back and they're just unbelievable things that they do to gain a little bit of money or to gain, I don't know what, it's awful. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and people can easily get lost in that push, bigger, better, faster, more rhythm, right? And I think here, Aldwyn and I were both big yoga fans, and so often in yoga, the analogy to every situation in life is so obvious. And in yoga, we always teach the action relaxation, tense the muscle, let go. Asana, movement, posture, shavasana, relaxation, let it kick in. And you can put that to everything in life. If you want to grow, you might have to push for a little while. You might have to go through through the painful thing. You might have to walk through the mud to let go of some things, which might require some perseverance. But then you can allow yourself to have this settle, to recalibrate your nervous adrenal system, to go into a little light shavasana and then push again, grow a little bit, enjoy, and I think if you apply that to life, the growth is not going to burn you out because you allow your system and your soul to catch up with the growth. And I think that's the most healthy way to grow, no? Have the rapid transformations, understand what just happened. Have another, I like how you say, work on that issue first, let it settle in, enjoy your accomplishment, repair something else, enjoy the accomplishment. And I think this is how you can grow to the very end,
I agree. And can I just go back to what you said earlier about people having mediocre lives only because that's as good as it's going to get, Yeah. So that is something that they should also reflect in their relationships, because often they're in a relationship because they think they'd be lost without their partner, or they think they couldn't get better, or they think they don't deserve any better, or all these different reasons, when in fact they might just be addicted to the pain that they're getting. Psychological pain can be just as bad as physical pain.
Yes, and this is what some people need to understand. The addiction to the pain might not be a conscious choice, but something that your young mind might have been trained to. And again, we come back to looking at where was this formed. If you've been beaten up as a child every single day, this is what you think is normal. This is what your brain stores as a natural state, pain. Same with psychological pain, conditional love versus unconditional love. This gets stored as the normal, and our prefrontal cortex it keeps everything as it is, even if it is a shit situation. Change is always a danger. The mind is there to protect us, to keep the equilibrium. And it doesn't make a difference if it's a negative habit or a positive one. This is what people need to understand when they're entangled in negative beliefs, patterns, and habits. You might want to encourage your prefrontal cortex, your mind, go through it, embrace the new, even if it feels dangerous in the beginning, but that's the only way to provoke positive change. No?
Get out of your comfort zones.
Yes.
Worth it, And it's so true, my husband, because I was so good at detaching myself to his issues whenever they came along, I would, I noticed that he would create drama before. It was just like creating pain for himself before somebody did it to him. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. He took so much healing. It was insane.
Yes, this addiction to drama is a massive thing. And, the minute you get conscious to this addiction, because we've all had it, I'm sure, at different times where we've been addicted to drama. Like I know as a journalist for many years, it was high adrenaline. I was addicted to the adrenaline of the go, 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 go. And I find myself nowadays noticing at times when I get into that state again, when I find myself going, go, 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 one thing to the next. And my diary is chock-a-block. And, I have to make time in my day to have time out. Like this afternoon, I felt like a nap. I had a half-hour spot in my diary and I went and had a nap this afternoon because I needed it. I had a massive migraine that came on today, and then I heard that there was a full moon yesterday and there's intense energy out there, which all makes sense, right? And I hopped on a quantum coaching event earlier, and another lady mentioned she's had a massive headache. And, this is something that's come through my life over the years, that I've had these migraines that have come on, right? And often it's because we're overthinking things, right? And we, maybe there's some kind of stress. I mean, the hot water went out at our place just overnight, right? So I had a cold shower this morning and then I had this migraine. And so maybe there's a worry about getting the hot water back on. And we've had rain here on the Gold Coast all day. So, of course, having a cold shower, I normally have a little bit of a cold shower. However, I do like some hot water occasionally, right? So now, getting on the phone in between my day, there's unexpected things that happen, and getting on the phone to electricians to sort it out in between any spare minute I've got between appointments, and so that adrenaline can come back again. So then consciously, as I notice this adrenaline coming on, consciously actually going, okay, Aldwyn, just take a deep breath, right? And just grounding myself, rooting myself, making time to connect with my cat, who you just saw jump up here. My cat's always wanting my attention, right? Pablo, just connecting with my cat. And actually, I think connecting with animals is also a great way that we can also have some beautiful peace in our life, just making time to connect with nature, connect with animals. And it also goes to show how quickly transformation can happen also in animals. Like, for example, when I got Pablo, my cat, you didn't quite see the face of really clearly. This is Pablo, who I adopted.
He's adorable.
And when I got Pablo, he was so anxious and so nervous. He'd been abused. He'd been at a cattery for a month. He'd been gone from home to home to home for 5 years of his life. And when he first arrived here at the house, he just was so anxious and just sort of hid away. He just bolted and hid away wherever he could. And it took him quite some time to come out. And now he is the most loving cat. And it's amazing, how human beings also, we can go from being very angry, very bitter and twisted. And the more that we practice that self-love and that connecting to self and getting conscious to how we are and to maybe some of these blockages that Angelique helps to, to break through, the more that happens, the more we can let go of the layers, the more that we can show up as a peaceful, loving person, rather than someone who's going to be cruel to other people, rather than one of these people that are just hurting others and putting other people down because they're feeling miserable about where they are in their own lives. So I really think this, working on yourself, your inner and outer self, working on yourself in all ways, filling your own cup up, as Angelique mentioned, filling your cup up and giving yourself what you need and not feeling guilty about it. Once upon a time I used to feel guilty if I made time for me, if I used to do yoga or go to the beach or meditate. Now meditation is a daily practice for me. Now I don't rush out of bed anymore. I make time in the morning, even if it's just for a 5-minute meditation. I stretch my body out, put a meditation on, and I ease into my day rather than waking up to a boom, boom, boom alarm, as so many people do. It's like fight or flight from the minute you wake up, I recommend those watching to actually practice waking up gently, allowing the time to stretch your body out, to have some deep breaths, and to do some meditation, however that looks for you.
Absolutely.
I would like to add a word on guilt.
Yes.
Personally, guilt is a complete waste of time. Who cares? It's in the past. It's gone. You did or said whatever you needed or felt like saying at the time, done and dusted. That person was meant to hear it or cop it or whatever. And if it was the wrong thing, who says it was the wrong thing? Who says? Guilt is a waste of time. All right?
Yes, and it's the uncleaned cup. You were mentioning the cleaning the cup first. That's what the Buddhists say, no? To make proper tea, to make really good tea, you really got to clean the cup first. And when you're running around with guilt, your own cup of the mind has not been cleaned of a supposedly mistake that you've made. Maybe you've not apologized to the person that you were rude to. Whatever the mistake was that you have made, when you feel guilty, you haven't cleaned the cup yet. Again, we're here with the letting go. And I think when you're convinced, and this is why those systems, all these tools that Aldwyn was announcing, that your rapid transformation therapy is integrating, once you have mastered all of these different tools to heal yourself, to heal your body, to calm your mind, to go into forgiveness, there's no reason to be guilty because you've made a mistake. You've learned, next time you do it better because you're not going to make the same mistake twice because you have a conscious mind. You are aware, You might even do it twice. Okay, you fail your way forward, One mentor that Aldwyn and I have in common, actually the guy through whom we met, I like a quote of his. He always says, I failed my way forward in his career, and this is, we all need to allow ourselves failures. You don't want to do the same mistake again and again and again, but then it's easy to forgive yourself, and that eradicates the guilt completely, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and guilt is a very low vibration on Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, right? It's actually 30 hertz, and shame is the very lowest vibration you'll feel, which is 20 hertz. So if you want to check that diagram out, it is in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group, and it's very, very powerful to get where you're vibrating at. How are you feeling right now? Are you in an expanded state or are you in a contracted state? And when we're in anger, we mentioned earlier, anger is at 150 hertz. Now, as we come up the scale to expand, love is at 528 hertz. Joy and gratitude is at 540 hertz. Peace, where you meditate, peace is at 600 hertz. And enlightenment brings you up even higher. Enlightenment 700 hertz and above. That's the highest vibration you'll feel. So noticing how we go up and down the scale of life. And there are those that choose to stay very contracted because that's how they've come to know life to be. And life doesn't have to be that way. You can choose in any moment if you want to stay in a contracted negative state, or if you want to come up to an expanded state. And it's okay to feel contracted occasionally, I believe. However, it's your choice how long you choose to stay there. I think we go into these states sometimes to get the learning. The sooner you get the learning, the sooner you can come out, then that will also help you to transform your life. Although Angelique's technique is really quite unique with rapid transformation therapy. Maybe if you could just quickly because there's a lot of different modalities in that, right, Angelique? So how would you sort of describe to people why working with you is really important to get those subconscious breakthroughs?
So as I explained a little bit earlier, we focus on one thing, that is the major one at first, and then we go into or the client goes into hypnosis. And then when they are under hypnosis, I can ask their mind to show us or to show him or her an image that takes them back in the past that is all related to the anxiety, for instance, and usually a very good scene pops up. So I make notes, etc. Then we let it go. We do this 3-4 times depending. And then the person can see the correlation of all of these. And then they realize, oh my God, this is where it's coming from. This is where, my mind has decided to always protect me. but this is not me anymore. I'm not a child anymore. I don't need this anymore. So you can let it go. So then I become a dentist and I extract it from the psyche, and again, I will do, depending, as I said, on the person, on the situation, on the issue, on whatever it is, I will use different techniques, which I can't kind of divulge all of it, and it would take me hours to explain it all. But and also, with NLP, I mean, the teachers at the gym use NLP. They tell you before the end of a segment what we're going to do next. That's all it is. It's preparing your mind in advance. Like, for instance, again, I tested this on my granddaughter. We would take her to the park and she never wanted to leave. And it'd be a disaster and she would tuck tantrums. As soon as I started to use NLP, which was to tell her, okay, we're going to go to the park, but you've got to understand that we can't stay there all day. We have other things that we want to put into our day. So when I tell you that it's time to leave, you can't be cranky and you have to accept that we have to leave. So I read this several times and boom, it works. So that's what NLP gets used in that respect. So I do that a little bit in my process as well. And like, as I said, then after, depending on the person, again, do a big clearing and then do a recording that at the beginning is going to put themselves back under hypnosis. And then in the recording, I'm going to put in there everything that they want, all the affirmations, everything they want to see, feel, and have in their life. We put it in there, and I do it repetitively because obviously the mind learns from repetition. And they're going to listen to this for 21 days, and that's it. That's the whole session. It's not that hard.
I think you bring a little bit of extra magic to it, Angelique, because that's sort of like the process. But I must say, when I had the session with you, your voice is actually very angelic, right? Your voice, like, I found that I went into a deep state very quickly, and it was a very soothing way that you did it. So I think everyone would have their style about how they go, and I know you've done so many different trainings and modalities. So I'm sure you would put your little bit of magic in from all the different modalities.
I have a really good example of how my magic came into place here, because my late husband, having had this issue, he had a crazy way of releasing that tension that he would get, that would mount because he had been raped. So I learned a lot from him, because he would then attract these dark forces all around him, and they only come into people when they have been doing drugs on a very heavy way, or alcohol, etc. So I had this man come in to see me one day, and he looked like he was on ice. And I confronted him because, I'm going to be safe. And he said, no, I'm not on ice anymore, but I used to be. But I'm medicated now. However, he couldn't sit on my chair for long enough for me to do this session. So that's why he went on the floor, But that's when I picked up that he had an entity in him. And this is not, you can go, and he's been going to a psychologist for 10 years, They never knew that. So anyway, so I cleared it from him. He went back to see his psychologist he'd been seeing for 10 years, and he said, whoa, what the hell happened to you? He was unrecognizable because he was much more placid and calm, and that entity had left him, So you're right. You can't learn that at university, Yeah.
That's so great. Such powerful work. And when you mentioned your granddaughter and about, how she had past lives, we have 14 generations of DNA in us, right? So we're actually carrying all this ancestral stuff that we may not be aware of on a DNA level, which is fascinating. And, we are such extraordinary human beings, right? All human beings are miracles of life. And, I believe it's such an exciting journey and a gift to be alive and to make the most of our lives. And rapid transformation therapy is where it's at, because a third of people die by 65, my friends. So if you're not living life to the full, and if you've got something you want to shift and transform, how can people connect with you, Angelique, to work with you?
Well, I think, Facebook, or go to my link tree, which is linktr.ee/Angelique Pellegrino. And my name is Shudivia. Do I need to spell it?
Yes, spell it out for those on audio. Yep.
Yeah, Angelique, and Pellegrino, like the water, Pellegrino.
Beautiful. Fantastic. And I highly recommend check out Angelique's work. And of course, you work with people via Zoom too, right? So around the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, work with people around the world. So just reach out to Angelique through her link tree there. And do you have a favorite quote or motto that you'd like to share with us today, Angelique, before we wrap up?
I've used one that I created like years and years and years ago. Now it's really simple, but open your mind. The rest will follow. If you just keep opening, it just comes. It comes. The answers comes. Any answers, yeah. And the other one, which is, I think I might have read it from on one of the posts that you've been sending out, Aldwyn, but I love it. If you want to fly, you must give up the past as it weighs you down.
Beautiful. Love that, Angelique. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show. We do need to wrap up now, although we might come back for any final comments after we hear from Kerstin, how we can connect with you, my beautiful co-host in Dubai.
Yeah. It's also best to go to my link tree, which is linktree/Kerstin Linnartz. We're also sharing that link with all the posts on the show, with all the recordings on the show. And there you'll find all about my work, my free group where there's more inspiring stuff, my programs that are also about transforming on a high level. And I so resonated with every word you said, Angelique. I totally, we're on the same line here. And I feel like hopping on a session with you right away, but I'll be hopping in the pool with my little daughter. I always love to give those practical hints for all the parents. I know we have some parents listening to us. I love what you were saying about prepping your little granddaughter, who's 2.5, if I remember right, with the neuro-linguistic programming, which is a positive thing. It's not sabotaging or manipulating. And actually, I've been doing this today with my little 8-year-old daughter when I was explaining to her, listen, Mommy's going to do the podcast for a little bit on a holiday, but then afterwards, we're going to hop on the pool, you're going to get an ice cream, and that's exactly, and this works for a grown-up. I'm going to do a little bit of work now to go to my goal, and then afterwards, I'm going to reward myself. It's as simple as that, and it works rapidly. So I thank you so much for all of the inspiration. It was a great pleasure speaking with you.
Same. I hope to meet you in person one day. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yes.
Absolutely.
Maybe in Italy, have a Pellegrino together.
Yeah, that sounds great. And do you have a quote you want to share with us, Kerstin, today?
Yes, as you know, I'm always going with the downloads. I've had this download about 10 minutes ago, and funny enough, it goes very well with what Angelique was saying. One of my favorite ones, it's not selfish to take care of yourself.
I love it.
Yes, that's beautiful. I love that. And before I share all my links of how you can connect with me, I just want to thank all the people that have hopped on live today. On Instagram, we've had Mehra Yoga, our previous guest that we've had on the show here. Psychic Kylie, we've had Leroy Day Commercial Agencies, Your Life, Pitch It Up Cricket, Carl Silge, Santosh, 22222, Janine Wallace, and for everyone on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, on X, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know, what did you get out of this show today? What's one gem you've had from tuning in today to this show, whether you're watching live or on the replay? Let us know. And if you've really enjoyed the show, then please share the love. Now, for those who want to connect with me, you'll find all my links at linktree/Aldwyn, that's linktr.ee/ALDWYN. And in there, you'll find a whole lot of free resources on how to get media attention, how to start your own TV show, how to get global exposure and build your brand. Also there, you will find a link for my calendar. If you want to book a call with me, hop in there and book a call. There are limited times available through the month, so I recommend, if you want to chat, get in sooner rather than later on there. And also we have the Global Good News Challenge every month, which is absolutely free. It's a great way you can practice gratitude, and practice sharing good news and focusing on the good stuff in life rather than all the negatives. What you focus on will grow, my friends. So hop in there, check it out. Also, the Conscious Community Global Facebook group that I mentioned is linked in there as well, and all my other socials. So check it out, linktree/Aldwyn. And here we've had Heloise. Oh, nice to see you. Heloise just joined us. We were in LA together a few years ago. Now, my quote, I actually found this one online. I really love it. Don't just exist, live. It's only after you've stepped outside your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. Success comes from the inside out. To change what is on the outside, you must first change what is on the inside. It's my quote for today. Now, any final comments, Angelique, before we wrap up, or Kerstin? Final comments. Angelique's still thinking about that quote, I think. That was a deep thought.
The job on this planet is to be happy, be happy, laugh more, and
yes.
Inside out. I can totally underline that. Love your quote. Inside out, from the bottom to top. You never have to stop growing, just like our brain can change to the very last breath that we take. We never stop growing, even if we start shrinking from a certain age. And it's all about expanding and embracing life, and it can be done no matter the outer circumstances. When you're connected to yourself, embrace life in any situation.
What did you say? Something about 65 earlier, Aldwyn? That people are the average.
A third of people die by 65. That's the stats. 1/3 of the population, and 90% of people die with regrets. 90% of people die with regrets, which is kind of scary.
65 and I have no regrets.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. You know what? That is so good, Angelique. That deserves a clap. Yay! I love that. Yay! We need to celebrate life more. We need to celebrate life, and that is awesome. If you're 65 and you have no regrets, then you are doing well, my friends. And, if you're above 65, well done. You're in the top 2/3 of the population that have made it past 65. So well done.
Look at you, shining and radiating more than most 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
What I tell all my women that are above their 50s, and they have this mindset, oh my God, now life is slowly ending. No. Look at you. Look at Angelique. What a beacon of life. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you. And connect with Angelique. Connect with her, book a session if you want to rapidly transform your life. Now, we don't have a show next week because Kerstin's going to be through the air, coming back from Dubai on a plane somewhere. So no show next week. We will be back the week after, though, with more amazing Media Mavens Show episodes. And so every Tuesday we have this show in general, most Tuesdays except for next week. So tune in. We are at 11:30 a.m. CET, Central European Time, and 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. That's Brisbane time. Oh, look at your little darling. And here's my
face. Oh, look at you, all these cuddlies. Okay, I'll have my daughter then. I'm going to have
your daughter. Yeah, this is my
yes, something cuddly as well.
Awesome.
Group, because
all
in
you need is love.
See the recordings of all the shows that we've done so far. So join our Facebook group, Facebook, the Media Mavens Show. You'll find everything we've shared so far there. We're still young, we're still a new show, but already so much wisdom, health, wealth, and wisdom on wisdom, and so many gold nuggets have been shared, and we're quite proud of that. And the more the merrier. So share, spread the word, invite your friends, and just get the positive energy out there. The more the merrier.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like our Facebook page, connect on the podcast, and stay connected on all our socials, which you'll find at those links that we shared earlier. Thank you so much. Thank you, Angelique. Thank you, Kerstin. Enjoy your sleep.
I will. See you.